Good afternoon, friends. New day in the shop, new day working on a project. Now I'm back to working on the 1966 Shovelhead. I recently dropped off the engine cases and the flywheels at a local shop here. They're going to true the wheels and set the engine cases and everything together, so that'll be ready for assembly. Now I need to get these things disassembled all the way so I can take them to the guy that's going to vapor hone all these, and then we get everything vapor honed and cleaned up before I can start having these gone through for reassembly. So I figured today I'd bring you through the process of disassembling a set of heads and rocker boxes. So these should be pretty easy. I also have my parts bags here, my marker. I'm going to label everything because I don't know when I'm going to get back to it, and I know if I set this stuff aside and I put it in a box, I probably won't remember where all the parts came from. So I'm going to start with the rear rocker box here, and I'm going to get my parts bag set out, and I'm going to label the rocker shafts, and I'll keep those in separate bags. And I'm going to do the same thing with the heads here. I'm going to pull the valves out and all that good stuff, and I'll label those and keep them in separate bags as well. So we'll start with the intake side of the rear rocker box. I'm going to loosen the stud on this side. That's a 5/8. The biggest thing to keep in mind when taking these apart is the orientation of the spacers and everything that's inside. So I've got this flipped upside down. I do have a shim in here. I have a spacer in here. And I need to get the rest of this rocker shaft pulled out. So now that that is free, I can go ahead and grab the rocker itself and maneuver it out. So that's out, and that's going to need a good cleaning. I'm not sure if I'm going to run these again or if I'm going to get something else. I don't see any other shims or anything in place that I would need to put back in there, so I'm actually going to reassemble these kind of loosely. Putting this back together the way it was. I know all of these parts need to be cleaned, and I think once I clean these, I'll check them out and I'll see what kind of condition they look like they're in, because everything right now looks pretty burnt. Looks like it ran pretty hot. So I want to go ahead and get that cleaned up to see what it actually looks like. I do have a little bit of wear on the pad here, and I know that can cause some issues. These may need to be replaced. See a divot in there pretty good. But other than that, everything else just looks dirty. I have my bag labeled rear intake, and I will go ahead and put this rocker assembly into the bag. Now we will repeat the process on the other side here. I do have my rubber mallet. I'm going to go ahead and tap this out of place. Now sometimes these do stick, and unfortunately I'm running into that now. There's a little hole on the inside of the shaft here. I'm actually going to take my little center punch here, and I'm going to gently guide this out. I don't want to wreck the threads, so I'm being very careful here. Again, that was super sticky with some old oil on it. I feel that this was run pretty hot. It does smell like burnt oil. We'll get the spacer and the shim out of the way here. And this actually had the shim on the inside here and the spacer on the outside. Not sure why. Next, I'm going to remove the oil fittings off of this. I don't think I'm going to reuse these ones. They are pretty marred up, and I feel like they're eventually just going to fail. It's going to be hard to get them off. So I'm going to just take these off. I'll set them aside. I'll clean them, and I'll see if I'm going to reuse them, but I don't feel like I'm going to. You probably can see that in the camera a little bit, but this is starting to round off in a few places. It's mashed really bad right there. This one isn't in as bad a shape. It's been clenched on with some vice grips, so I don't feel that those are even worth saving, but I'll still set them aside just in case I need them. Alright, there's my rear exhaust. We'll set those out of the way. As you can see, I have one completely disassembled rocker box here. Still a cork gasket in there. This thing's going to get vapor honed, everything's going to get cleaned up, and then I might polish these. I'm not sure. I want to see how they come out when they are finished. I'm not sure if these are stock or not from 1966. I don't see a part number on them, and I'm not sure, what they would look like. This is my first 1966 that I've ever owned. One of the things I do see is on this head, if you can see right here, the date code is 965, and then of course on here it's 0766. So these were, in my opinion, produced in 65. That's kind of cool. So that does have the date code on it. The rocker box does not seem to have that. I don't see it on the inside or anywhere else. Maybe somebody can let me know in the comments below how they actually made these, if they mark them with a part number or not. We'll move on down to the front rocker box and we will go ahead and do the same process all over again. Now I have two fully disassembled rocker boxes, and pulling these apart and seeing what was going on with these things is a good thing. Now I know what I was running into. Obviously I could see that I had oil in here. These things were probably leaking and splashing all over the place. I'm assuming that the base gaskets were leaking as well. You never know. So you get one of these old motorcycles and you're working on it or preparing to run it. You never know what you're going to run into. I don't know how long this bike was on the road. I know how long it sat, that's for sure. It sat almost 30 years. So I'm thankful to be taking these apart to see what I'm running into. Next is the fun part. Now, I don't have all the proper Harley Davidson tools for this, but I do have my old Sears Craftsman compressors here. So I'll be using these valve spring compressor, this valve spring compressor on these heads. It's going to work. I don't really love that style, but it's what I have, so I'm going to go ahead and utilize that. But I'm going to start out by taking the spark plug out first. I did leave those in there when I disassembled the bike. Nice black plug there. We're working on the rear cylinder head here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take the intake side out first. I believe that's the easiest path to start with. And I'm going to finagle this into place. Now I don't have the proper jig or a good way to hold this. So unfortunately, I'm going to do it as best I can with two hands. With the keepers out of the way, now I can take and flip the head back over and release the valve here, and everything should come apart nicely. Now with the spring compressor off, I can go ahead and remove my top cap, my springs. Everything came apart in one piece there. I should be able to pull the valve. Nice gold valve in there. Looks like it's in pretty good shape. The seat doesn't look bad, just needs a good cleaning. So now we'll stick this back together just like that, and we're actually going to bag it. Let's set that aside. We'll repeat the process over and over again until we get all this done. Okay, now that we've got the valves all out of the front cylinder head, we can look things over here, check everything out. Obviously the inside still looks pretty good in there for the most part. Dirty, obviously. Got my intake gasket here that that's got to come off yet. I got to clean up some things. I mean, it's pretty gross. These things were glued on, as you can see. And then, of course, the exhaust gasket was glued on. Pretty common thing that you see on these old shovel heads. See a lot of glue on these. This gasket maker stuff's gross, but it does come off okay. And as you can see, this has been repaired here too. That's a pretty common one, especially on a front cylinder head. These got nicked around, banged around. If you crashed ever, that front pipe tends to get pulled when it's sitting in the spigot here. It gets pulled and it'll ruin this shaft, which will break this out, and unfortunately run into problems that way. But this is as far as I'm going for today. I'll eventually get this gasket off here. I'll probably get underneath that with a scraper and get that pulled off. And then I'll be taking these to the vapor hunter. So I'm going to take the heads themselves, the rocker boxes, and the cam cover. I had the chrome cam cover on the 66, and it was super rough. I mean, that thing had a lot of dents and dings and a lot of wear, and the chrome was kind of coming apart on it. So I'm going to vapor hunt all this stuff and make it look super clean. I believe I'm running the cylinders black. I think I'm going to repaint those black because they were black as I got it. I don't remember if they're stock cylinders or not. I believe they're aftermarket. I can't remember. I'd have to look again. I'd have to dig them out and see if they were aftermarkets, if they were stockers. As far as I know, on the 1966, everything on the engine was blonde or chrome. So I believe that the original cylinders were actually blonde, same color as the heads and the rocker boxes. But I could be wrong. You know, if you guys know the difference, please drop a comment below. But if memory serves me right, when 66 came out with the new motor, or new engine, excuse me, everything was that blonde color. And I think that's the way it actually was. But again, I could be wrong. I don't know for sure. I'm looking at my rear cylinder here, and I see that this has, it's been tapped for a stud. So I'm thinking of trying to do the same thing on the front here, having this fixed and tapped so I can put a stud in there as well. I'm not sure yet. We'll get them to Vapor Hone first and see what we do from there. Well, friends, quick and easy video today. Hopefully this was kind of helpful. I wanted to bring you guys along and give you an update on the 66. You saw that thing come apart, and it's been a slow process. I haven't had the time or the resources to work on it, but now that the engine cases are at the machine shop and the flywheels are going to be getting worked on, and I need to kick my butt in gear here and start working on this as well too. So I got to, you know, get this one going, get all the rest of them going. I know I've got a lot of projects going on right now, and I'm hoping to kind of really start ramping this up now that the weather's nice. I need to get going on some things and get them out the door and get them on the road and, you know, enjoy some of these things. Anyway, I've talked long enough again today. I can ramble on all day, honestly. But I appreciate you guys sticking around to the end of the video. If you like the video, you know, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, please. I really appreciate that. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. I'm looking at my analytics, and it looks like out of all my videos and my shorts, about 90% of the people that watch them are not subscribed. So if I get that to 50%, that'd be super awesome. I'm at almost 1,500 subscribers right now. And I usually get quite a few views on my shorts feed and on my regular feed. So if I could bump that up to 3,000, 10,000, 100,000, that would be fantastic. For the people that are subscribed, I appreciate you guys. And for the folks that have commented on all my videos and my projects and helped me along with things and have taught me stuff and all that, thanks. Thank you again. You know, I really appreciate that correspondence. You know, of course, if you're in the area and you want to stop in and see the madness, stop by anytime too. You know, I'd like to invite folks in to, you know, see my workshop and see my workspace. I'm here in Muskegon, Michigan. And if you ever want to stop in and check out the madness, you know, introduce yourself and we can chat it up about whatever motorcycle things you want to talk about. That would be cool too. Well, friends, that's it for me today. Hope you have a great weekend. We'll catch you next time.